Welcome back to Jersey Matters. We continue our conversation about the Death with Dignity Act, which is now being debated in Trenton with Sal Anderton, who is with Compassion and Choices, an advocacy group for end-of-life rights, and also Susan Boyce, who is a patient and advocate, and she has been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And I want to talk to both of you about the opposition to this legislation. And I'll start with you, Susan. There seems to be two major opposition groups. One is based on religion and one is based on disabilities. I want to start with the religion. There are some religious groups that are against this for moral reasons. The Catholics say it's a sin. I know there's other conservative religious groups that just think it's immoral for the state to be okaying something like this. What is your answer to them?
I guess I think that we have to let patients have some say in their end-of-life decisions. I respect their religious beliefs and their right to their own beliefs, but I would say then they might not want to consider this, but I do want to consider this option.
Catholics consider it suicide, no matter what. You don't?
I do not. No, I don't. I consider it something well within my rights to do, as just to end the prolonged suffering that can come about.
When you say you do not, and you are taking an action that would end your life, what is the difference?
My life is going to end anyway, and it's in a very short period of time. And whether or not we play that out all the way fully, or whether there's a point in time where I can say goodbye and have this not be a long, drawn-out process, I don't see the same outcome is going to happen either way.
Yeah, I would think that there'd be some people, Sal, that would argue it's very Christian not to make people suffer.
Well, that's the compassion part of it, I would imagine, right? But to your point earlier, I think you're absolutely right. You know, we have, as patients and New Jerseyans, we have the right to say no to medical treatment. We have the right to say no to another round of chemotherapy, or we have the right to pull the plug, so to speak, on a respirator. Patients have those rights now. So that's an affirmative act that will hasten your death. We see aid in dying as no different. It's an affirmative act that will hasten your death, which is a right that we all currently have.
The other group that is opposed to it are disability advocates. Mm-hmm. And their position is that it makes people look at disabilities differently, and it may go down a road where if somebody can't take care of themselves, there might be a decision to end their lives. What do you think of that argument?
Well, again, the policy of aid in dying is patient-centered. So a disability is not a terminal illness, and disabled folks, unless they're terminally ill and meet the other qualifications that we spoke about earlier, they're not eligible for this. They're not even eligible for aid in dying. So I don't, respectfully, I don't see disabled folks as being within the scope of aid in dying eligibility, unless in fact they're terminally ill and meet the other criteria.
Are you scared?
Of course. Of course. But I also have a lot of hope, and I have a lot of reasons I want to live. I mean, I have 5 children, I have a loving husband. I mean, I have a very, very nice life. And so I live every day, thankful that I have the day.
And this is an important question for this debate, so excuse me for asking it. And I know the answer is both, but I guess I want you to give some measure to it. And that is, are you scared about the end or the way the end would come?
I'm scared about the suffering in the end. I'm not sure exactly where that falls in your...
Well, that answers the question.
Yeah.
That absolutely answers the question. You're more afraid of the suffering and what it would do to you and your family than you are of the actual end itself.
Yes.
And that's why, and I would imagine that's exactly the reason for the legislation.
That's the compassionate part of it, right?
Okay, what do you expect?
I expect inevitably that, because the way we're dying is changing as medical technology evolves, I expect ultimately this will be the law. If it's this year, I'm hopeful it will be, and if it's not, perhaps next year.
Sal Anderton, Compassion and Choices, which is an advocacy group for end-of-life rights, and he's right now fighting for those end-of-life rights in Trenton, and Susan Boyce, who is a patient and advocate and has been diagnosed with a terminal illness and is hoping upon hope that this legislation passes for her. That wraps up this segment. We'll be right back.